right, we're live on our first episode of James and Mark Save the World. How we doing?
Good.
James?
Yeah, let's save the world, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. If you're new to this, if you're new to me in particular, I'm sure that you have James's comedy friends, fans of his comedy are out there watching. James and I have been trying to get together and do a project, and I talked to him about the StreamYard option to kind of just do this live. And obviously, you can follow it whenever. You can get it on YouTube, you can get it on Anchor. Anchor is now Spotify podcasters, so you'll get it on Apple. It'll be on all of the audio platforms. So look for it there if you missed the live version. I've been excited to work with James. We've had podcasts in the past that were more sports focused, and I feel like this is a better format to just talk about everything.
Absolutely.
So James, we got video. We're gonna show funny clips, and we'll react to them. So bear with us. The first episode. This is a non-produced production, so I will be doing all the behind the scenes as we go. Have some stuff pulled up already, so we're ready for it. But just real quick, James, tell me what's going on, man. I know we talk every once in a while, but tell me about what's going on in with comedy. I know you got a new hobby. You're a freaking sailor now. I mean, I don't know if everyone knows that. So tell me what's up.
Not a whole. I mean, comedy light schedule this year, but it's building up. And we've got a sailing as an obsession at this point. It's just I read some book somewhere that was like, every 3 to 4 years, you got to add something new to your life that you can really dig into to keep your brain alive. And, this is the latest obsession. The last one was motorcycles, and that's still going on. So, but yeah, up to 2 boats now. Yep. That's how many boats
2
we've bought now.
Real man of the people. I love it.
Yeah. Well, you got to be able to pay to get to all the places on this map back here. So, yeah.
I know. I love how James did this, not even on purpose. The name of the show is James and Mark Save the World, and his background is the world. So I'll just have a small dog and curtains. So anyway,
we'll get up, and as episodes go by, we can check off the countries that we've saved along the way. It's like, right. we got Grenada, man. We did it.
That's awesome.
They're all good from now on.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you about is, first, and before I even get into any of the topics, if you are watching this and you have questions for us, we have a Gmail account that you can bring some questions to. It's jamesandmarksavetheworld@gmail.com. Exactly how it sounds, exactly how it's spelled in our podcast. I may change that so it's smaller, like just the acronym of that. But if you guys want to ask questions, relationships, I don't know if James and I are capable of solving those problems, but we'll try our best.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've fathered plenty of children, so I think we at least can give you advice on that. But yeah, that's something that we're just starting it, so I want to make sure everyone has that. So tell me what you've learned about this new obsession, like with sailing. Like, is it kind of calmed your mind a little bit? Like, do you feel like you get some inspiration out there? Like, who do you go with? Like, do you go by yourself? Do you go with family? I'm curious.
Some family, but it's more one of those like solo things. And sailing by yourself is especially hard. It's not like sailing is difficult either way. Difficult's the wrong word. It can be very challenging.
Sure.
But you'll see a boat the size of mine that's got a crew of like 6 people on it doing everything. And my goal most of the time is to be able to do all those things by myself, because that makes it more challenging. And that also means you don't have to, wait around to go for other people to want to come along. And also I want to be able to bring, I've got, a smaller kid, and I want to be able to take him out and not need to worry about, hey man, I need you to hold this line. And also, my wife, she loves being on the boat. I'm sure she's going to learn, she actually does want to learn. That's actually one of the bonuses has been that she has started expressing interest in actually learning how to sail the boat. But I wasn't going to go into it assuming that I was going to make her useful crew. I want her up on the bow of the boat, laying on a cushion in a bikini, and getting a tan while I'm back there playing fucking Captain Sailor Man. I want it to be a nice and relaxing thing for her, while I get to be like, I'm sailing.
That's the dream, man. Have you ever seen that? I don't have it pulled up, but have you ever seen that meme of the women who are on boats, and it's like the men who own the boats, and it's just like 4 large men like with beer guts and like these
Yeah,
bikini clad women around them.
of
That's
course.
usually what happens. So
Well, you and I are lucky in the fact that we actually married women that we can put on our boats that will be
yeah,
appealing to passersby.
yeah. Um, well, it's funny you say that. One of the topics I was going to talk about, my wife, we just had our second child, her first, and she has had some back issues, right? So she's been doing a lot of PT and stuff like that, and so she stretches around the house now a lot, and I'm just like, it's like turning me on. So I'm just like, I said to her, I said, I said, do you know how much money you could make on OnlyFans just by doing yoga stretches? Like in these yoga pants with stretchy, pants with a sports bra or something like that. It's
Oh,
not sexual. She's just stretching, but
of course, of course. So now, okay,
what
but I told you I was going to mention this before. I am only bringing it up now because it's directly connected to this
okay.
particular topic. Um, the news just broke earlier today or
Oh,
last night or whatever that number one draft pick NBA above average player had a long career, Joe Smith. Uh,
yep.
he found a video was leaked out that his wife put out of him finding out that she has for a while now had an OnlyFans.
No.
Yup.
Oh, that's interesting.
The video is of basically her being like, "Well, I needed some money," and blah blah, and like in the video, she's pretty much punking him out. Like this guy made a lot of money in his NBA career.
Yeah,
I'm sure he still has some of it left, but
that's wild.
she wasn't apparently getting the money that she wants. And in the video, she's like, "You knew who I was when you married me," and and he's like, "Yeah, but then we got married." So
Wow. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
so
seeing I'm sorry I don't have the video set up for us, but man, that is
what
some wild shit.
what would your reaction be if you found out?
That'd be tough. I'd be like, I think my initial well, how much money have you made?
Like, is this gonna get me a new
Yeah,
car?
yeah, is this something that we can stop working on? No, I think that would be like my initial reaction, but then like I'd also be like, ew. You know what I mean? Like I would probably not and listen, if you're single or if you're not and your husband's cool with it or your partner or whatever, I'm down for whatever. I'm not a moralist, but if it was something that was like hid, that would be the issue. It's like, why wouldn't
Yeah,
just
I mean, to
come to
me,
me?
that's the most shocking part is that it
Sure.
just didn't mention it to him, like it, and then not only did he find out, she filmed him finding out, and like in it was basically like punking him out.
Mm. So this is why, because I just pulled this up. He made 61 million in his career,
Okay,
but his net worth is around $100,000 right now.
yeah, but
That's why she's
who helped him spend that 60?
I don't it's definitely not this woman. I don't I think isn't she new?
I don't know. Oh, well, okay. See, again, I need to learn more of the details. That is why this is going to be a fun show that you and I do together. You are going to actually look into the details of these things, and I'm just going to be like, "Did you hear that, Joe Smith?"
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting because Joe Smith, yeah, I mean, he also was drafted in a time that they didn't have this rookie salary cap. So
Right.
he came into the league with like 40 or $50 million. And then he played on $6 million contracts for years. So he did like something to the effect of like he's been living paycheck to paycheck since March of 2018. That's the behind the scenes on this. That's wild, man. I just think the betrayal is the biggest issue, right?
I mean, yeah,
Because
it's and again, it's one of those things like you're in a pinch, you've gotten used to a certain lifestyle, and maybe
yeah,
there's a way to keep that going. Like, but that's a conversation you have in advance, right? Like, clearly she is on her way, like because nobody's looking at her OnlyFans, like because I saw the video of her and confronting him. Is she's not the most amazing thing in the world.
oh
Somebody
yeah,
is on. If a large number of people are on her OnlyFans, it's because they want to see Joe Smith's wife. So
that's pretty sad.
right,
And yeah, you're right. I'm looking at the video right now. Yeah, that's just it's also fucked up that she did the. It also comes to the attention that this could be fake.
Maybe it's a way for them to market. Who knows? Maybe he's like, yeah, girl, get on there and do it.
Make me look stupid because then we're gonna make a shit ton of money because now everyone's gonna flood to her OnlyFans.
Well, yeah, and one that and look, because here's my thing. I have no judgment about the fact that she's doing it.
No,
For her. Like if that's but when you're married, that's something you gotta agree on in advance. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, we have a comment from the chat. I have to put this up there. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Billy, I'm with you, man. Like, I don't know. I think I'd like that was my first comment. How much money are you making?
Yeah. Is this
Is it like explicit? Like, is it really like? I mean,
am I gonna get a third vote?
do I need to star in it a little bit to help you out? And she's like, no, we don't need that.
That hurts.
Yeah. No, I think that would be the first initial thought, but I don't know, man. Everything is so like everything. So many things are scripted now. Everyone wants to like film their life. So I wonder if that's the skeptic in me. That's like that's kind of bullshit that she's kind of doing that. Like, why would he be like okay with like letting her film that? I'd walk up to her and smash her phone.
Well, in the video, wow, that's probably because he didn't want to get arrested.
That's fair.
Fair. I mean, that's just an instant assault charge.
To smash her phone?
Yes.
What if I pay for
it? Well, clearly he can't.
That's true. I mean, if I pay for it, I mean, I don't know. I think I'd probably be like, listen, you're not going to tape me on this. You're not going to film me.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. All right, well then let's pivot to this one because you kind of opened up Pandora's box about NBA. The Dwight Howard situation.
Okay.
The Dwight Howard is being
explain
accused.
this. I only saw a single Instagram post and didn't for sure get the details.
So Dwight Howard is being accused of sexual assault, but the assault charges are coming from another man.
Oh.
Of which he responded that he's innocent of sexual assault charges, but he posted, "Where I lay my wood is my business."
Well,
yeah.
It's been long. No, there's 10% of the population is gay. That means 10% of the professional athletes in the world, at least, are gay.
Yeah.
There is a large enough sample size. The fact that he's opted to keep that a private matter, that might explain some of the issues he's had with teammates over the years and why I never understood why he always got framed as like, oh, he's a weirdo or he's a weird guy to have in the locker room. So there's been a lot of that throughout his career.
Yeah.
And that was probably their way of not outing him. Or maybe he could also just be a super weird guy. But it was so intense with him. It was such a narrative throughout his career that's not super surprising to me that it's Dwight Howard specifically. If it was, there's other NBA players that I would like, if Isaiah Thomas, like
Magic Johnson.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly a handful of players, and that I wouldn't be super surprised because one, you've heard rumors, and
sure.
Two, if he did assault somebody, that's a complete,
yeah. I mean, it's
like our entire topic was like, oh, like that. Isn't that funny that neither one of us reacted to the fact that, oh, we didn't do one of those believe all women moments where we were like, well, then he should go to jail. Like we just jumped to like, Dwight Howard's gay.
Well, that was what I was gonna say to you. Like we were talking like pre-show. I didn't give away like what the story was. Is essentially that this is him basically coming out as gay, but it's not a big deal. Number one, it shouldn't be a big deal. And number two, it would be a huge deal if there wasn't an accusation around it, right? It would be to the masses, right? To the media outlets, like ESPN would be like, how brave of Dwight Howard to come out and say that he likes, men. Cool. Good for you, buddy. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I think that's the biggest takeaway I take from this. I care whether or not he's a piece of shit and is like assaulting people. It's like that's I think that's more of the story. But it is kind of what's going on kind of behind the scenes in social media, like some of these podcasts. Like, do you know Mace? Remember Mace from P. Diddy and the family? Like, so he has a podcast called It Is What It Is. And I guess he like clowned Dwight Howard about this. And like that's why Dwight Howard came out and was just like, where I lay my wood is my own business. You need to keep your name out my mouth. So like that's how all this is coming on. Anyway, it's just wild because he is saying that all of this is consensual. Who knows?
I mean, I guess if there are criminal charges or a civil lawsuit or whatever, like maybe more details will come out. I mean, I obviously I wasn't there. I wouldn't know.
Oh, you weren't?
What happened? I mean, well, I try not to be around when people are being. If I've ever been in a situation where something like that was about to happen, I've tried to step in and stop it. So,
excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, leave her alone.
Oh, stop it. Don't you dare use my name for that. The only two people here who have their hair slicked back is you, buddy. That's a red flag right there.
I have hair. Sorry.
I know, but that's why I wear a hat. Because I look like a normal person.
My hair's not slicked back.
It's not?
No.
That's just natural grease?
No,
I like it. Oh, that's cute. So let's pivot to
you were the one that was talking about how like I steal my wife's hair ties. Like, no, I have my own.
I think I said your daughter. I think I said your daughter's hair ties.
Oh, either way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a pinch, I didn't know that was part of your arsenal that you have hair ties.
I mean, I when I realized, oh wow, because I genuinely thought I was going to be bald by the time I was like 35. Because they say, and apparently this was an old wives' tale. You don't just get it from your mom's dad. My mom's dad, by the time he was 35, was just all the way bald. But my dad's dad and my dad both had this hairline, and all the way up till when they died in their 60s, they, exactly where mine is right now. And so it's like, oh, apparently I got that. So yeah, I grew my hair out just because I thought it was fun.
Listen, man, if I could grow my hair out, I probably would too. But that ship has sailed 42 now. I would say about 7 years ago. I was on a vacation and someone took a picture of me in a pool, and I could see the ring forming around my head that you get when you go bald. So I've just kept it short ever since. It's thin as fuck. I don't care.
It is a little thinner back here. So that's one of the beauties of the man bun is you can just tie the man bun right over that little thin spot, and it's.
Bro, if I tried to grow my hair out like you, it'd be a disaster. Well, first off, I have thicker hair than you, so it would go this way.
No, you do not have thicker hair than me.
I definitely do. My hair froze out. It's curly. It's not straight like yours.
Yeah, but that's curly. That's not the same thing as thick hair.
Whatever. Thick, curly, same shit. Either way, it's not looking like yours. Mine
is beautiful.
It is. Listen, I said to James last time I saw him in person, I said, it is kind of arresting how pretty your hair is. And it has nothing to do with me not being able to grow my own. It's just like you're kind of taken back by it. You're like, he looks like a villain of sorts.
Yeah, it's kind of, some of us get luscious locks,
Yes. Well, let's keep it light. Like first show, I'm not going to dive into a bunch.
Yeah, we've gone Joe Smith, Dwight Howard, both.
So let's just keep it light. Celebrity news: Matthew Perry dying. I'm sad. I know that you're not a big Friends fan or any of that stuff, but I'm sitting here with my Friends cup in honor of Matthew Perry. I honestly enjoyed Matthew Perry's comedic timing. Forget about if you don't like the show.
He did a movie with Selma Hayek called Fools Rush In that I recognize isn't a great movie, but I really loved that movie.
It's a great movie.
It was really funny. It was a cool storyline. Like the story was good. Selma Hayek. I mean, that was when she was just
height of her powers.
I mean, she's like 100 and she's still a smoke show. But I mean, it was like talk about arresting like that. I mean,
you don't have to tell me.
But no, so I was never anti Matthew Perry so much as just Friends was not a particularly well written comedy.
Yeah, but you know what the other thing about it is too. I think Friends came along at a time where it kind of led into a more well written show. I mean, it was before Seinfeld, so you kind of got that audience, and you also got the younger audience. Like that show started when I think I was in like 7th grade, right?
Yeah.
So really wasn't aware of kind of the topics that they were discussing. I just thought, like, honestly, it was all about, for me, it was all about Chandler. He was just funny. Like, he was just
Yeah,
funny
he
on,
is.
you know what I
Genuinely.
mean? So Matthew Perry definitely, that made me sad when I heard about that, especially like the way, right? I know he struggled with drugs and alcohol in his life, like, you know, like many people have. And I thought what was interesting, not that this is a light topic, is he actually wrote this in his book, which is that when he dies, that this is so prophetic. It's weird. It's like, it's almost like, yeah, it's just crazy. He said something to the effect of, if when I die, it won't shock,
Right.
you know, but it will be a surprise.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly the way I would describe it. I was not shocked to hear that he had passed away. But it definitely surprised me. And then considering how, my initial thought was someone drowns in a jacuzzi, they get too fucked up and they can't pull themselves out of that. What's your thoughts? Like, if someone that you knew like died in like a freak accident like that?
I mean, look, it is tragic that someone, not young, but obviously not dying age is,
Right.
passed on.
54.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, look, like you said, the guy really struggled with addiction. He had a lot of problems when it came to those kind of things, on the wagon, off the wagon, on the wagon, off the wagon. If he fell off the wagon and, was a little messed up in a hot tub, I'm sure it's not the first time that he came close to having that issue. So, I mean, I have certainly had some rough nights in a hot tub myself. I'm sure
Mhm.
you have as well. And it's luck that has gotten us through our poor choices when it comes to drugs and alcohol. And I guess his luck ran out. And I honestly, like, I hate that I giggled at things like, there's a somebody posted the meme. It's a picture of David Schwimmer in a hot tub, and it says Schwimmer, and then under it, it's a picture of Matthew Perry, and it says not Schwimmer. So, it's,
I can't believe you said that, and I'm laughing. But no, because I mean, listen, and this is the one
well,
thing I love
we
about.
have people watching us live right now, so we'll see how many of them stick around after I made that
Yeah,
joke. Oh, the
well,
number
we
went
just,
up. It actually
yeah, I
went
just want
up.
to say we just gained people.
Yes.
No, but it's one of the things I love about being friends with comics is, you know, having tried my hand at it, I've always had a darker sense of kind of mortality or whatever you want to call it, right? So, you know, I think I saw a great clip between Steve Harvey and Jerry Seinfeld during like his Comedians in Car show, where it's like, when a tragedy happens, like, we have the jokes, like, we may not say it that day. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like, I don't, but we have jokes about it.
there's a specific reason that, like, it is the coping mechanism that'll sort of lead you to being a comedian is in part built in the fact that the way that you process tragedy was through humor. I
Right.
mean, my dad was on his deathbed, like, literally, within 72 hours of no longer being in this world, and, like, I was roasting him,
Sure.
and he was joking, but roasting me back, and then, I mean, he hadn't been dead 20 minutes, and, like, my sisters and I were making jokes. And because that's how we cope with the worst things in the world. And that's one of the reasons why, for me, when people talk about there's certain things a comedian shouldn't talk about, I think there's no topic that's off limits to me for a comedian, as long as it's personal to the person talking about it. Like, as
That's
long as
interesting.
there's a way that it connects to their life. Now, if somebody just goes on stage and they start doing a bunch of jokes about rape, I don't particularly find that funny. But if they go on stage and they're finding a way to make laughter out of their own being assaulted, then I think that's, I mean, some of the greatest comedy I've ever seen was by comedians talking about the worst things that's ever happened to them. And that's their way of dealing with it. So for me, it's, I would much rather laugh than cry.
Sure.
And so that's the way, I mean, that's part of how I got funny, being in middle school and dealing with the nightmare of being a, 12-year-old boy. And, it's, it was through making myself laugh and making other people laugh that I was able to get through. So,
Yeah, and I think also that's why I resonated with that character so much. Like, that was all that show really meant to me, was what kind of uncomfortable laughter is Chandler going to get this week? Is Matthew Perry going to pull out? And I know that's some of that's written, but some of that's his timing, obviously. But like what that character, that was perfect for him because he had the exact same type of, demons, if you will, in his own brain about always looking for the laugh to kind of cope with everything that he was dealing with in his life.
Could you be any more under the water?
Yeah, exactly. That'd be the joke he would make right now, and I think that would be like something that he would do. Right? So,
I bet the joke he would actually make is, "Could you be any more cliche?" But
yes, could you be any more cliche? No, it's totally true. But in happy news, to kind of pivot off of that, Henry Winkler turned 78 today. The Fonz. Yes,
I love the Fonz. Have you watched Barry?
Barry. Oh no, it's on the list. I heard it's a great show.
It's a good show. The first couple of seasons, it goes from being this sort of weird light comedy about a hitman to super dark. But Henry Winkler's in it, and he's so good in it. And I mean, he's Henry Winkler. He's not playing Henry Winkler, but he's playing a character that's basically what happens if Henry Winkler becomes an acting teacher. So
that's awesome. What a job! What a job!
Yeah. So
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you off of this. I will definitely check that out. And you answered it already with Matthew Perry. What was actually you didn't? Is Fools Rush In your favorite Matthew Perry performance?
I mean, what else what did he do? Like a movie with him and a monkey playing baseball or something? Or was the other?
That was Matt LeBlanc.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. Like honestly, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip was that show. Yep. While it was on the air, was good. I don't like that show didn't make it because I enjoyed that show.
He also was in The Whole Nine Yards with Bruce Willis, which I thought was
and I'm a dedicated, despite his politics, Bruce Willis fan. Like there are few people in the world that are more like Bruce Willis is my hero. When I literally went and saw Hudson Hawk in the theater. Me and my childhood friend.
You were the only two.
Yeah, and we loved it. Like literally. The scene where he's getting pulled behind the ambulance and the little girl's like, "Mister, are you gonna die?" Like I don't think I ever laughed as hard as I did watching that. Obviously not great movie, but I loved it. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's a great. But I think that's also a good movie too, where he kind of plays a similar character because that's just that ends up being the whole case. It's like not to put them in the same category, but like when you watch Jim Carrey, unless he's doing something very dramatic, you automatically kind of think he's playing Jim Carrey. Like this is who he is. He's very funny. But I'd say for me, it definitely was, if I took Friends out of the equation, I think it's a tie. I think Fools Rush In and Whole Nine Yards. Yeah. But you're right. Fools Rush In is definitely a decent movie.
The female, Amanda Plummer, is that her name?
Amanda Pete.
Yeah. She bothers me like at a fundamental level. She's like like right now, there are always a handful of actors and actresses that just bother me. Like Amanda Pete was up there. Now, I would say Brie Larson probably tops that list.
Oh God, yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah. Jennifer Lawrence used to bother me a little bit.
Oh man, I feel like that's somebody I would hang out with at a party. So
I think I would, but I also feel like a lot of her like engagements on these shows are so kind of over the top. It's like, honey, just let's slow down. Like, I mean, you're funny. Like, you don't have to try. Like, I think she tries too hard. You know what I mean? Like,
I listened to she did Bill Simmons' podcast when the movie she was just doing was about to come out, and I think they were actually ranking. It was his Rewatchables podcast where they talk about movies, and they did Dumb and Dumber, and it was so funny because look, whatever you think of Bill Simmons as a sports commentator, he's at least knowledgeable, even if incorrect often. But he started talking to her like she was his daughter, or like she didn't know anything about movies and sports. And she just burned him down on his show.
I love it.
Like 3 times. Nothing like just, you could really tell that she had a lot of men talk down to her, and she really was sick of that shit. It was beautiful.
I love it. I'll have to check that out. I was going to ask you, Henry Winkler, is he best known for? I know he's best known for being the Fonz, but what's your favorite performance of his? Is it Barry or is it something else?
Waterboy.
Waterboy.
Yeah.
My favorite was Just it's a cameo, but he's in there for a little bit. Is Scream. I thought he was great as the principal.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he had a real role in Waterboy, and that is just a hilarious movie. There might not be 5 actual structured jokes in that movie, but it is hilarious from beginning to end. And I love that movie. His performance in it's hilarious. The college football coaching for dummies, just all like so that's one of the actual jokes in there. But the physical humor in that, the his timing, he it's funny to see who Henry Winkler became versus the character he played on Happy Days, where he was supposed to actually be cool.
Right.
And like they just took this short, not particularly good-looking guy and put him in a leather jacket, and that was made him the Fonz. And he's such a dork, and so for him to be playing this supposedly cool character, I thought was hilarious.
I know that's pretty. It's a pretty funny. That's a pretty funny commentary because there's another movie with called Here Comes the Boom, where what's his face, Evan James does UFC. That was, and he was great in that. Like he played the high school music teacher. They were trying to save his job. I just think all of those like turns on the Fonz, like exactly what you said. Like it just shows like his range and like who he probably truly is. And great marketing by his team. His birthday is today. His book autobiography comes out tomorrow. Yeah. So go get that. Go check that out. It's not an endorsement. I just think it would be pretty cool to read. All right. So we're going to do a segment, and it's not going to be today, but I want this to be on your radar. And then anybody that's listening, James has made fun of me for years about my inability to fix or use tools. So for next episode, I want to put this bug in your ear. You have to come up with very basic things that I should know as a man. So if you're listening to this and you have ideas, feel free to email the podcast, James and Mark Save the World at gmail.com.
Beauty of it is going to be that people are going to send in things and you're not going to know how to do it.
Well, that's the point. Like there is a funny bit on a radio show locally where it's the guy's kind of like a corny white dude, and one of his guests is a very like he's a comedian. He does a lot of North Carolina pre and post for basketball, and they do a segment about like pop culture slang, and like he'll say like 3 or 4 phrases, and the host has to say what he thinks that means because he's never heard it. So in a very similar way, that was my thought process. I was at my in-laws this weekend, and my father-in-law has a garage that's cleaner than my house, first thing. And everything in there, I don't know how to use. Now, some things are, like heavy equipment, like he does woodworking, does a bunch of different stuff to make different things that he thinks from a hobby perspective, but there's not a tool he doesn't have.
Well, but to clarify this for people watching and listening, Mark got a basketball goal for his son.
Yep, I think that was coming.
And was having some issues or concerns about whether or not he was going to be able to put it together. And I thought he was kind of kidding, and he just wanted somebody to help him bounce. So Mark struggled with things like how to use a wrench. And when it was time to reverse it and make it go the other way, he didn't know how to do that. And anyone that's ever, lived should know how to do. Oh, your wife just commented.
My wife has entered the chat.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's the truth.
What was the your wife really needs a husband. Like that's what you guys need now. If you needs a man in the house, you would really be killing it.
Yeah, I mean, if we had someone that knew how to do anything, we have a bunch of stuff going on this week. Like people are going to come and fix cabinets. They're going to come and talk to me. I have no idea what they're going to be talking about. I'm going to be like, hey, here is the room that we need fixed. Go do it.
How do you think other men and women learn how to fix things?
I mean, I think you kind of have to have an interest or a want, right? At the beginning,
no. You have to have a need and the lack of funds to pay someone.
That's part of it too. That's part of it too.
My grandpa, who was very, he didn't teach me how to do things, but he would let me do things that and let me make attempts at things
Sure.
without ever interfering. He said, because he recognized, he thought my dad was completely, not as bad as you are, but pretty clueless when it came to fixing and repairing most things. And so my grandpa initially just assumed I was like my dad. And this is my mom's dad. So you know how
Mhm.
the father of the bride tends to be a little
Sure.
judgy of his son-in-law. So when I was very little, he just assumed I was going to be like my dad or whatever. And then as I got older, he saw me taking things apart and putting things together. Was like, oh, we got a bright one here, cool. And so he allowed it to me. But his description is you have to have the arrogance to take something apart and the patience to put it back together. And if you can combine those two things, then there's nothing in the world that you can't fix. It might take you 3 years, but you'll eventually figure it out. And I mean, at this point, there's literally nothing you can't find a YouTube video on how to do.
So let me address that. The first part, I have an abundance of. There's an abundance of arrogance. The second part, patience for what? Like there's absolutely no patience in my life. I have worked on that probably for the last 5 years to just kind of like mellow out a little bit. There is nothing.
If a light switch stopped working in your house, like, just
a light, a switch or a bulb.
No, just a light switch. If you went to flip a light switch and for some reason the little flipper just broke off in your hand, what would you do?
I would call my wife. I would ask her to see if she could fix it. And if she couldn't, I would call an electrician. That's me.
So you wouldn't just would you at least pull the front plate off to see what was happening in there?
No, she'd do that. I wouldn't do that.
I mean, there's only 2 screws holding it on. Like, it's literally
okay, I'll take off the plate, but I have, guys, I'm saying guys, everyone, I have no frame of reference with how to fix anything. So one of the key things, in my opinion, I know that, but I understand that. But also, I also feel like, I'm not saying this because I want to learn. I'm saying this because it's funny. Like, I literally don't have an interest in fixing anything. If it's broken and I can get someone to fix it, that's exactly what I'm going to do. If it's broken and I can't get someone to fix it, it's staying broken unless my wife can fix it. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, like, I don't know. I like having things. So, like, I wanted a motorcycle. And I wasn't going to go out and buy like a $30,000 brand new motorcycle. So I got an older motorcycle and I learned how to dismantle it down to the frame and then put it back together and have it now be a nice motorcycle and replace engine parts and exhaust systems and, hydraulics and all this. Because I wanted a motorcycle that I liked. So I had to get one that I could afford and make it into the one I wanted. I have 2 now sailboats, neither of which are crazily, well, they're expensive, but not like, if you buy a really fully trained, you're talking about $100,000. I did not.
Don't try to sell the people that you're not loaded when you're like, I have 2 boats, but I got the cheaper ones.
One
so
of them is for sale. One of my boats is for sale, by the way. Speaking of that, if any of you are interested in a Catalina 25, the slip fee is actually paid on it through April. It's on
Catalina wine mixer.
It's Catalina 25. It's a beautiful. Yep, you take it to you can take it to the Catalina wine mixer. You can ship it to California and then sail it to Catalina Island and go to the Catalina wine mixer. It's a great boat. I've done a lot fixing it up. It has all new running rigging. It's got new sail covers. It's got a freshly serviced and partially rebuilt outboard engine that was already in really good shape, and I just wanted to make it go a little faster. So. It's a
let me ask you a question. But you enjoy this.
7K.
7. Yeah. You enjoy this, correct?
Yeah, I do.
You enjoy taking things apart and putting them back together, correct?
No, I enjoy having things that are done.
But have you grown an appreciation for putting things, like, do you feel accomplished like when you take something apart and put it back together?
I feel accomplished when something works.
Right. I don't have that sense. Not one bit. Like, I feel Well, no, I've tried and I've failed. And I failed in a lot of those aspects. And I finally realized that this is not for me. I think that's, I
Sure.
mean, knowing one's
Keep talking.
limitations is an
I
important thing.
need 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Be
Okay.
right back. Just less than 3, hopefully.
Less than 3 minutes. I have to carry this show. Oh man, we're gonna lose a bunch of audience because the sexiest man alive just left, but that's okay. Yeah, for me, there's absolutely no reason for me to ruin a potentially easy fix by bringing someone or by having myself do it. Like it's just there's just nothing. There's nothing that I would hate more than to have something that could be fixed because I paid someone their expertise versus me doing it. My wife has an easier time with it. She's fixed some things. She fixed a couple different laundry aspects that kept us from, saved us a couple $100, and that's great. And I'm grateful for that. Need anything lifted heavy? I'm your guy. I can't fix things, but that's okay. While we're waiting on James, I'm going to queue up a couple of presentations, if you will. I think James is taking out his dog. Oh, and he's back.
Nah, just wife and I had to make another kid real quick.
Oh.
No, I had to piss. Sorry. I had to...
Live show, man. Hold that shit.
I've been holding it. Oh, wow, we did. We lost a lot of viewers while I got up in...
We lost 2. Relax. All right, you're not that. Then they're back. See, they just came back.
All right. Now we're
done. All right, so I'm going to pivot and give... But just remember that. Next week, send us emails, anything. I'm going to try my best to get better at this, or at least give my thought process on how I would go about fixing it. That's kind of the bit. That's what I'm hoping for this segment. Maybe I get better at it, maybe I don't. Either way. It'll be funny to make fun of me. Either way.
It will.
So we're going to pivot to sports. Over the weekend, lots of NFL, lots of NBA. But before we even get into that, we're going to talk about the college basketball season, because Duke men's basketball signed the number 1 recruit in the nation, Cooper Flagg. Yes. The reason why we're talking about it is because James's favorite team is Duke.
Yes.
My favorite team is UConn.
Yes.
They were the 2 teams that were in the mix for the final kind of recruiting aspect of this, right? Who was going to land this kid? Who's going to be the number 1 pick? Yeah, it was going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. And the only reason why I feel like UConn had a shot is because they won the national championship last year, and they have some guys coming back this year. So it would have been a nice piece, but I don't think anyone up there is losing their mind over it. I'm sure they're...
To be clear, Cooper Flagg is the number 1 recruit. He will probably go first in the draft. He's not. This is not a Victor Wembanyama.
I mean, he's 6'9".
Yeah, but he's going to be. He's going to be a good player. He's not going to.
Have you seen him?
Yes,
okay.
But he's not going to be a 8-time first team All NBA guy.
Well, you don't know that about this guy. You don't know. I mean, I love Victor Wembanyama, and I've watched a bunch of him play so far.
Victor Wembanyama will be that, is what I'm saying. I'm saying Cooper Flagg is not. He's not that guy.
You don't know that. I mean, the kid's 17. I think he's actually 16 right now.
No, he's 7.
Look it up.
No,
look at producer. I'm gonna go to the producer and look it up.
All right.
I'm just saying he's a younger.
I sat down and watched a bunch of clips and highlights. He's got a decent jump shot for his size. He's got some level of handles. But look, you and I both root for very high end. You're not quite a blue blood team, but you guys are up there, almost a blue.
Okay.
UConn's almost blue blood status.
What would you classify a blue blood as? I would consider 5 titles in 25 years a blue blood.
Look, teams that didn't start being good 25 years ago. It
doesn't matter how long you've been here if you've been dominant over those years.
Blue blood. The entire concept of blue blood is built around the idea of old money.
That's okay. We don't want it because all that is rooted in slavery.
Right. Yeah. No, it's Northeast. Blue bloods were from the Northeast. They were actually,
it's a joke. I'm totally joking because I'm just trying to get a rise out of you.
It was a New York Gilded Age thing. That's where the term.
Professor. Thank you, Professor. What I'm saying is, in the sense of what we're talking about with college basketball, it's hard to not put UConn up there with Duke, Kansas,
Of course,
North
right
Carolina.
now,
These are
they're
all
an elite
on
program.
the same level. They're all on the same level.
Well, outside of the blue blood classification, yes.
I mean, did it matter back then when you were winning titles when no black people were playing?
Elite, top of the look. UCLA is a blue blood because they were winning titles in the 60s with diverse players. So
Sure.
I'm pretty sure Kareem Abdul-Jabbar counts as diversity.
What? No, I think I really don't care personally where UConn is classified at. They were the top two, but I want to give this audience, if you haven't already know this about James, when it comes to sports in general, no matter what we talk about, James is going to poo-poo any type of greatness because that's James's mentality, which is the number one recruit in the country that everyone would have thrown 10 hookers in his window for them to come to their school. And he's like, I mean, he's got like a decent jumper for his size. Like, it's always going to be muted. And that's fine. Like, I think James, that's what makes the two of us a great
that's
hang.
why I'm almost always, in the long run, almost always right.
You said to me that Spider Mitchell, when he came out, and I'm going to talk about this from our old days, that Donovan Mitchell was not be an all-star. That's my favorite James.
No, that
100. We'll go to the tape, man.
He wouldn't be an all-star. I did not say he wouldn't be an all-star. That is not what I said. See,
James,
you need to reframe things to make your point.
That's not true.
I didn't say he wouldn't be an all-star.
Okay. What did you say?
I said he wasn't going to be like a legendary all-NBA. Same Cooper Flag, same thing.
Okay.
Basically,
I'm just saying, I feel like where we differ is the levels of play. And I think this is – go ahead.
He's an all right player on the Cavs right now. He's not. He's what? He's the 7th best guard in the league right now, maybe 9th.
I mean, that's a fucking great player. That's a great player. Yeah, and I'm not talking about compared to us. I'm saying like that is a great player. Like if like right now, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are on the same team. One of them is, I mean, you could argue that Kyrie's a better player, but Luka is kind of the leader, right? So it is what it is.
Who would argue that Kyrie is a better player than Luka?
Kenyon Martin. That he actually just said that the other day. That's why I brought it up.
Well, that's Kenyon Martin. Kenyon Martin says a lot of things. Next, you're going to say Perk said it. I mean, like, oh,
Big Perk. No, but anyway, we will definitely get into more sports as time goes on. But congrats on getting Cooper Flag. You guys will probably be ranked number 1 in the country to start, and then inevitably lose in like the Sweet 16.
Well, it's always possible. For the last, 2 years, really almost, if you go back to the peak of COVID and the ACC tournament getting canceled, I've become so much less interested in college basketball in general because I have gotten so upset. I mean, same thing with NFL for that matter, because I've just been so hyper focused on NBA that, I have watched 30 guesstimate. This is a rough estimate, somewhere between 25 and 32 NBA games in the last week, only because I'm so hyped about the new season. Like I've watched 2 of Wembanyama's games, because I wanted to see what he's going to be. It's like, first game he's in foul trouble half the game, so you're not seeing much, so I got to watch more. I wanted to see where your guy, Mr. Mitchell. Oh, hold on. Now, this will take 8 seconds. I just got to let the dog out the back door.
Let that dog out. See, even that dog doesn't like your takes on NBA. He was like, the hell with this guy.
There we go. But no, I wanted to see how your man Mitchell was going to be playing this year, if he was going to come back from a terrible, terrible playoffs and, recover.
I know. Such a bad player.
Yeah. Did you see
max contract player? No, I don't watch NBA like you do.
What happened to him when he was playing the Knicks in the playoffs last year? Did you see?
I did. I watched it. He didn't play well.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he's not great. Did you see LeBron hit the side of the backboard in his last shot last year?
Did you see
Luka? It is what it is.
With a weird 3-pointer off the glass.
You just like him. You just want to hate on him because he's white. That's the Luka Doncic deal.
No, that's the thing. I can appreciate Luka he's the one of the few white players because he's European. He's not an American white guy.
That's right.
Like, you know what? Well, I mean, it took me so long to come around to the idea that Jokic really is the best player in the NBA right now.
He's incredible. Have you seen that?
I mean,
have you? I will find this.
A lot of Nuggets games, just picking his game apart for several years, trying to find reasons to be like, nah. But no,
there's a great video. I don't know. We'll find it. We'll find it. And there's there's a great video. It's like when you play against Jokic, and it was like a guy sitting in a chair. He's sleeping, and someone's like, "Hey, you guys, you want to run?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." He gets up and he starts yawning, and he's just playing. He's just like casually shooting, and they're like, he was like, "Can you stop him?" And it's just the funniest video of like basically like that's how you play. That's what it looks like. Looks like he's in slow motion, and then he beats you on everything, whether it's passing, shooting. The guy's incredible. It's nuts to see a guy that size kind of playing at that level.
It is shocking to see how there's no more situations now where he can't be great. There were several years where defensively he was so bad that it didn't matter what he was doing offensively, and there were ways that teams were able to slow him down. And now at this point, it's just get out of the way and let him win you a title.
Absolutely. Well, considering we're talking about the NBA and athleticism, have you ever seen someone jump this high in your life? Check this out. I just don't understand. Like, it's insane. Just like look at where he is.
Did you see the LeBron block shot from the other night?
Oh, I've seen. No, but what I'm saying is like this is a kid that's probably playing like college volleyball somewhere, or maybe it's high school. Like, I just feel like the level of athlete today is so much twitchier, so much more special than it has been. And I
think
they're everywhere.
I think there are a lot more kids being directed in better way. Like, think about the way that when we were in high school, like our weightlifting coach was teaching us.
Right.
And how inefficient and how bad that is compared to what anybody would do when they're trying to get somebody, plyometric abilities. I think the worst PE teachers in America and coaches in America know so much more now than what they knew 20, 30, 50 years ago.
For sure.
That I think that has a lot to do with it. And I think just access in general is probably significantly improved. Just
absolutely. Well, we're going to continue this segment because we have about 7 minutes or so left on the show, and I want to present a few videos for James's reaction.
That kid jumped very high. It was very impressive.
He jumped very high. I just was like, damn. It was pretty crazy. I love a good volleyball clip too.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, man. Volleyball's a great sport.
Okay.
It's underrated. Good action. There's good athleticism. All right. So I wanted to highlight a comedian considering James's profession. We'll get his name out after the clip, but thought this was a great. I'm not even going to say I'm going to present it with absolutely no commentary and just get James's thoughts.
Older lady gets on the elevator with me, and all of a sudden she clutches her purse. It made me feel some type of way, and then it made the whole situation uncomfortable because I'm pulling, she's pulling, I'm pulling, she's pulling, I'm pulling. Just let go of the purse.
Isn't that, thoughts?
Structurally, that's what makes a great joke. He set up a premise and he added in the surprise. A punchline is the surprise. Every joke has two things. Every joke has a surprise and every joke has a victim. In that joke, the surprise was who the victim was. So that's part of what makes that kind of a brilliant joke. It was highly efficient use of language. The premise made the people tense up when they got the release. It was, like white guilt activated. And It was
This dude's name is, you can follow him on socials at, I'm going to butcher this as a white guy. I apologize. Bada General, Badda General. That's his. Thank you. Again, every week, if there's a bit that I think is hysterical, I'm going to pop in here and add to the mix. All right. So I don't know if James knew this, but there was a time in my life where I was actually a security guard.
Really?
And yeah, I did.
So
I bounced for Blind Tiger here. What does that have to do with being strong?
Because you're a little fella. What are you 5'3"?
With my shoes on, I'm like 5'6".
Shoes on, you're like 5'3", right?
5, yeah. Don't put me out there with the people that don't know who I am.
He's not. Here's a question we're going to give to our listeners and viewers. Is your height with shoes on or barefoot?
And then I will counter that question with that is your actual height. Are you constantly wearing shoes, or are you doing anything barefoot? Are all you guys MMA fighters that you get your height like with no shoes on, or are you physically out in the world wearing sneakers and shoes? That's my point.
Barefoot.
Yeah, well, you're at your house, you dummy.
All right, look, I just want to have some listener feedback. It may take us some time to get thoughts on this, but I want to know: do you? And this is an interesting debate. I didn't even know people really did this outside of like NBA players, that they listed their height as their height in shoes. So I'm very curious to see what other people think. Are there a lot of other men out there? What's the female perspective on this? I bet women say their height is barefoot.
Yeah, but if a woman wears their heels, like if they're wearing something to kind of prop them up, then guys should be able to do the same thing. That's my only point. Next video.
Let's fucking get it.
Okay, first off, you know what my favorite thing about this is the shaking of the beer so it goes down faster.
Yeah.
So many things to unpack. What do you got?
Seems like Saturday.
Do you have a parrot?
Yeah, don't you? No,
I mean, is it on your boat, like next to that you can?
You have to understand. You just showed a video of every guy I went to high school with. 2/3 of which now do probably have parrots. I'm just saying, though. Like, I know that guy really well, so there was no shock value in that for me. For you, you're a Connecticut.
I thought that was funny. I just think it's hysterical.
An impressive set of skills.
And also like the taking off of the bottle cap. That was pretty fucking awesome too.
Yeah.
But now this is to go back to the security thing after James tried to shame me for my height. This is an interesting one. Wait for it. Wait for it. Where is it? There it is. Boom. So the amount of people that I had to do this to at my time is crazy. And I'll tell you a quick story about my days before we jump off. You're right. I was not the biggest guy in the world, but I had two gentlemen. One was 6'7", one was 6'8", and they were both very large. And so what they used to do is put me into the mix. I used to go in when some people were fighting. I'd get everyone apart and I'd say, you can walk out with me or they'll come and take you out.
Right.
And people would make their decision accordingly. So they'd kind of peek over and go, oh, these two WWE wrestlers are out there.
Right.
Or I could just go have a conversation with this sensible looking, he has big arms, but I could probably take him in a fight. Let's walk outside. And that was the choice.
Excellent.
Well, I mean, listen.
All had those nights though. We've all had those nights where we got a little overserved and maybe fell down a few times. I mean, that guy looked like, I bet up to that point he was having a wonderful night.
I think what kind of did it for him was the two alcohols at once in the car ride was probably a little much, a little more than being overserved.
He did it all for the TikTok, It's
That's right. Well, listen, we're going to call it a day. because I actually have to get on with my life in my
All
day,
right.
just like James. Really appreciate anyone that jumped on. I know we had a couple people in the chat, even my wife. I will yell at her later for putting me on blast there, but that's okay. Appreciate you guys. If you want to follow any of our, we don't have a bunch of socials up yet, but we do have a YouTube page, James and Mark Save the World. So like, subscribe, Gmail us, James and Mark Save the World at gmail.com. Send us some questions. We'll talk about it on the air.
All right, guys. Thanks for having us. Talk to you next week.
Peace.